Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz, and entrepreneur Breezy Gipson will be joining us a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, we've got another great show lined up for you as always. There's going to be music industry news, beats by yours truly, and a special guest, VerseBorn, is joining us today. So we're excited to go ahead and get this show underway. So without any further ado, let's go. are back with music industry news. First up, Method Man and Snoop have released new music and digital artwork from the Tikal universe. It's called New Old School Remix featuring Snoop Dogg. And it's alongside original artwork from the Tikal universe as digital collectibles. So fans and collectors have the opportunity to own common, rare, and legendary hip-hop collectibles affiliated with this as of yesterday. So, hopefully if you're interested in that, you could probably go ahead and grab them. So it also comes with the additional opportunity to unlock original and rare artwork from an esteemed collaboration of Tikal universe artists. So, it's really cool how both of them have basically embraced the whole metaverse thing. And I'm excited to see how many other artists are going to do this as well. All right. And the RIAA has reported that recorded music revenues rose 9% up to $7.7 billion in the first half of the year. So this is a big deal. We always want to see revenue growing. So that's a great sign. Streaming remained the industry's biggest breadwinner with revenues of $6.5 billion, which is up 10% from the same time last year. So, of course, that category includes paid subscriptions, ad-supported services, digital and customized radio, which is where you actually get to select what you listen to on demand. And it also includes licenses for music on social media and digital fitness apps. So streaming's share was basically kind of flat at 84%. So, it's still a huge majority, but we're not seeing too much change there. So, with that being said, some of those categories that were listed, you definitely want to make sure that if you're making music, you have it available there. Social media seems to be one of those that I noticed that a lot of independent artists kind of skip. But, you never know. It could be somebody that might just be scrolling, looking for something. They find your song, they share it amongst their friends and fans. And, you could reach more people that way. So definitely make sure that when you're checking out distributors that they distribute to a lot of these social media platforms, because, of course, that can broaden your audience. All right, and Apple Music, you've probably heard this by now, but they've kind of bumped Pepsi out of the way as Super Bowl halftime show sponsors. And so it's going to start with this upcoming Super Bowl set for February 12th next year in Glendale, Arizona. So over the coming months, fans can expect to see special deals and sneak peeks and everything kind of leading up to the halftime show by following Apple Music on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. So with them kind of increasing their visibility by doing this, there's a good chance that they may pick up some new subscribers. So make sure that your music is on Apple Music as well. As I kind of stated earlier, you notice sometimes that people might pick, because maybe it's more economically feasible to use a different distributor that only distributes to certain places. But, it's a really missed opportunity there if you're not making sure that you're in all the major platforms, regardless of who personally who uses that or Spotify or Tidal or whatever. So just something to keep in mind. All right. And a trait called morbid curiosity might explain why some people are attracted to violent music. So Merrick Powell is a PhD candidate at Macquarie University, and his colleagues along with him had launched a study proposing that the enjoyment of violent music may be partially explained by this phenomenon. So the trait kind of makes you predisposed to be interested in stuff like this. So scholars basically suggest that it serves an important purpose. So it basically helps people understand and learn to avoid dangerous situations within a safe context. So, the same way people enjoy watching horror movies or going to haunted houses, it's kind of a way for them to explore morbid themes without real world consequences. So, this kind of speaks to something that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago with some of the violent rap or, violent metal music or whatever the case may be. If you enjoy listening to this stuff, that's one thing, but just make sure that you're not going out there acting on it, because I know, we all feel like we've been seeing too much of this in hip hop lately, as far as, I guess, life imitating art. So, there's a reason and a logic behind it. And as long as you're aware of it, then you know how to handle it responsibly. All right, and this is great for all the Dilla lovers out there. Questlove is making a J Dilla feature documentary that is, to quote him, he says, part biography, part musicology, and part musical meditation. So it's going to be called Dilla Time, which was adapted from Dan Charman's recent biography, Dilla Time, The Life and Afterlife of J Dilla, the hip-hop producer who reinvented rhythm. So, you know, since Questlove had directed Summer of Soul, which was a huge success, wonderful film. Anytime it comes up on the show, I always recommend that you check it out if you can. But he's also working on a Sly Stone documentary that doesn't have a release date just yet. But yeah, I'm excited for both of these projects to come forward. And, you know, documentaries are always a great way to kind of learn from those that kind of came before us, and to see, you know, some of the things that they had to go through to reach the level of success that they were able to attain. All right, now we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back with round 2 of music industry news right after this. Okay, and we're back with round two of music industry news. Victrola has made a $799 turntable that can connect with any Sonos speaker. So, we've got the huge surge into smart speakers like Amazon Echo, HomePod Mini, and the whole line of Sonos products that make a ton of sense for most people to have. But if you have those speakers, they don't work with most turntables, which can make stuff kind of complicated if you want to play records and be able to stream music. So now that, this well-known brand who's been making record players for more than 100 years, they've got this new entry-level turntable with built-in speakers and a variety of vintage-inspired designs. So, with them doing this particular one is called the Stream Carbon, and it'll connect directly to a Sonos system. And so you'll be able to do both, records everywhere, streaming services everywhere. And Victrola says this is just the first in a line of more planned devices coming soon. So good news for you techies out there that are interested in still being able to play vinyl and a variety of stuff in your home. All right, and there's a new $100 million backed fund that has launched to buy catalogs in Asia. So, a lot of new big money funds have started making some huge moves over the last few months. And one example of that was just in June. Beyond Music said that it planned to conquer the global IP market, and it expects to have 1 trillion South Korean won worth of assets under management by the end of this year. So now this new one, Black Music Fund, has just entered the space, and it's launched with $100 million. And, Asia accounts for half of the world's total internet users at 2.2 billion. So this is a huge market base, and it makes sense that these companies are making these kind of moves. So once again, make sure that your music is where the people are. You never know who will vibe and connect to it, and think a lot broader than your hometown. All right, and Swedish entertainment company Pop House Entertainment has acquired a 75% stake in Avicii's masters and publishing catalog. So the deal comes after the launch of the Avicii Experience, which is an interactive tribute museum in Stockholm. And so it's a partnership between the family and estate of Avicii and Pop House CDO Sundin, who first signed Avicii as CEO of Universal Sweden back in 2010. So the family's still going to continue to stay closely involved in the music as a minority owner of the remaining 25% stake. All right, and Santi Gold becomes the most recent artist to pull her tour, citing difficulties with inflation and the post-pandemic touring industry among reasons for the cancellation. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm glad that she took the time to share her story, because there are other people feeling this pinch too. So she basically said that the financial and emotional toll of touring after the pandemic has left her with anxiety, insomnia, and fatigue. And so she states, "I will not continue to sacrifice myself for an industry that has become unsustainable for and uninterested in the welfare of the artists it is built upon." So, that's a really, really major statement, because if you're looking at some of the things that are going on, for instance, the fight for US artists to be able to be paid for their songs being played on terrestrial radio, the fight to get more than a fraction of a penny from some of these streaming services. So it's kind of rough to see all these companies making this money, which so little goes back to the creatives that are responsible for generating the money. So, kudos to her for speaking out and explaining why she's pausing everything. And she's apparently making some adjustments, some things that people will be able to get sneak peeks and previews to, that just kind of tide you over until things get better. But yeah, it's something to be aware of, which is kind of a segue into the final news story for this episode. But Megan Thee Stallion has launched a new mental wellness website for fans. So it's called, and I'll have to abbreviate since we are actually on radio, but it's called Bad Bees Have Bad Days Too. And it's for anyone struggling with mental health and well-being. So it offers a link, or it offers several links to a selection of US based therapy platforms, mental health resources, and it includes a number that were created specifically for Black men, Black women, and the LGBTQIA plus community. So, definitely check that out. Being a creative, it already has its own challenges without all these external factors that everyone has been going through, that seem to be kind of highlighted by the pandemic and the recent inflation. It's a lot going on, and there's nothing wrong with seeking help if you need it. You're not alone. A lot of us are feeling it. And so, just make sure that you're taking care of your mental health as best as you possibly can. All right, we're going to take another quick pause for the cause, and then we'll return with our special guest, VerseBorn.
Breezy Gipson from the Breeze team. How would you like to see an online platform that brings you people who've already indicated that they're interested in your particular type of business? Whether it's your music you're selling, hip-hop clothing, you got a restaurant or cafe, or if you're an entrepreneur or agent for a business. Visit me at breeze2cheese.com. That's using the number 2, breeze2cheese.com, or click my bio link on my Instagram profile to see a live demo of how this can help you get more customers and make more money.
Hey, this is Achickwitbeatz. I am a multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit my website, achickwitbeatz.com, for resources for artists and instrumentals available in various genres for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwitbeatz.com, ACHICKWITBEATZ. Let's make something happen.
Hey, this is Breezy Gipson right here, along with Achickwitbeatz. Today we are truly, truly blessed. This individual that's with us today is someone he has spread a wide umbrella, worldwide. Okay, and even though the worldwide umbrella that he's spreading is in full effect, his soul inside the man is one that you really need to hear a taste of. Okay, and so we're happy to present the one and only VerseBorn, and VerseBorn is hitting the scene in many different ways. So VerseBorn, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm truly honored and blessed to be a part of the program today. You guys have a great platform, and yeah, I'm just really excited to get into the conversation with you both.
Okay, well, now we know who you are, Achickwitbeatz and I do, but now share a little bit with our listeners about who actually is VerseBorn. Okay, where did you come from? And some of the things that you're representing on Earth today. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I'm originally from San Francisco, California. I go by the stage name VerseBorn. I was actually given that name because I happen to be the oldest sibling of 10 wonderful individuals. And we're all, inclined artistically in some way. Some of us draw, some of us dance. A lot of us do music, and I think that sort of is in the blood because, my parents both were a part of the music scene while I was growing up. So that was definitely an influence and helped to sort of shape my craft, if you will. Some of the things I represent, definitely self-empowerment, growth in both your personal and your professional lives. And really, I'm just here to help other people grow, expand, open up their minds, and really just show them that anything is possible if you really look inside yourself and harness the gifts that you were given.
Okay, and so now, before we turn it over to Achickwitbeatz, one thing that's already standing out, and that's that you've got an artsy side. Okay, and that artsy side is running through your veins. It's coming from the family. It's coming from your ancestors, your foremothers, that artsy side. Okay, and that's something that, once a person realizes that they've got an artsy side, that's like power right there. Power in a way, we're not talking about, fighting power. We're talking about power in a way to touch the masses with different types of visuals, different types of sounds, different types of readings or hearings or the words spoken. Hey, right there, you've got such a conglomerate of different talents. Let's get into it. Achickwitbeatz, what you got for VerseBorn?
Man, so, our parents influence us in different ways, depending on the situation. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, whatever the case may be. Depending on what your parents do, that doesn't necessarily make you want to follow in their footsteps. So what was it about your parents in the music scene that kind of made you gravitate towards that?
Yeah, I think it was just, a lot of it was seeing how they were able to express themselves you know, how they were able to build, you know, relationships with other people of all walks of life. You know, growing up, my mom was in several bands, you know, so I was exposed to all different types of music. You know, she was singing background for some R&B groups, some reggae bands, you know what I mean? And then she did her own thing. And even her style is a unique mixture of various elements. And so I think that was something that really, you know, really helped to shape my views. And then on the other side, my father was actually very close with Cougnut, who was a prominent figure in the Bay Area some years ago. And, you know, as a kid, I was able to go to some of the studio sessions. I was around, you know, some of the groups while they were actually making songs together, collaboratively, you know. And that's something that you don't really see nowadays. You know, everybody is like working over email and, you know, sending stuff back and forth to collaborate. But back then it was like, you know, we're driving, you know, a bunch of people in the car going to somebody's house, and I'm just a little dude, just absorbing all of this, you know. And so I think that helped to also add to that viewpoint and help to, you know, really allow me some room to understand what the landscape is, you know, across all various aspects of music, not just one genre, not just one way to do things. And I think that sort of is reflected in my styles, I guess. You know, I don't really have like one particular style that I gravitate towards. Sometimes I'll sing on a song. Sometimes, you know, it'll be more of a spoken word aspect. Sometimes there's like no words really. It's just I let the music speak for itself. So I think that's also something, you know, it just really helped to unlock the artistry that was already in our bloodline, like you mentioned before, and helped to just open it up so that it wasn't contained into a box, you know. And I think that's also something that I'm trying to share with other people as well. So.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, that's great. That's great. It's really great. Okay, so now, what would you say is your mom's impression, or what was your mom's impression when you were younger and then you started twiddling around with music, this, that, the other, or artsy type of things and so on and so forth? You know, can you actually remember any times when she was standing back and watching, or maybe smiling, you know, about what you were involved with or the different endeavors you had going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like an introverted extrovert, you know. So really, like, I don't really like to be in the spotlight, you know. I don't really like to be in front of the camera, but being around other people gives me energy, you know, and then that's when it really allows me to open up a little bit more. And then so, like, I guess early on, you know, my mom was, and both my parents really, they were just, you know, privy to, you know, poetry and things that I was writing down and things like that. But it really wasn't until, you know, I started to get a little bit older. And, you know, I think one time, one vivid memory is my mom was on tour and the tour came through the Bay Area, and I was like sort of backstage with them, you know, and then they were all, you know, a group of people were like, you know, singing, freestyling, jamming or whatever. And I jumped in, and I actually, you know, was putting some of my some of my poetry and some of my written elements out there. And I think that's when she was like, "Oh, okay, you actually you sounded pretty good." I was embarrassed, of course, you know what I mean, at first, and I was just like, you know, but it was really inspiring, encouraging to see that, you know, she thought that there was some spark in there that was, you know, something special. And I think that was also part of what encouraged me to just keep going as well, to some degree. Validation in different senses, not only like, you know, your parents are going to be proud of you no matter what, you know what I mean? But this is, you know, this is something that was very important to her, and other people around were also saying like, hey, your son is pretty good. I guess it runs in the family. But like back then, and like I said, I was embarrassed. I don't really jump out there like, braggadocious or whatnot in a large group. But I think that was definitely something. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the gist of it. Really.
Yeah, because
see,
mom's. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mom's always had that. This is my baby. I'm speaking as a mother too, but yeah, when your baby's representing in the artistic front, it's like that's my baby. Yeah, and especially when people are kind of congratulate. That's so awesome. Like I can just imagine
on another.
That.
Yeah, not to cut you off,
No.
but just to kind of like supplement that. My mom really encouraged like education though as well, so she was making sure that I was in the best classes at school. We didn't really come from the best neighborhood, so the education system that we were in, she was trying to make sure that we got to those books before anything, and people growing up, they was always like, you want to come play, you want to come do this or that, and it's always like, books first, then we could play after. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that aspect too, it's like she didn't want me to, just become a rapper or something like that. But like, it just have a little bit more backing behind you to provide a little bit more substance to your character, be educated, have something to fall back on, have something to drive you really, and that's also something that I really appreciate. She was trying to make sure that we were no slouches and that we had a good head on our shoulders. So something I really appreciated.
Nice.
A Chick with Beats, I'm hearing so many elements of the universe right now.
Right.
VerseBorn, aren't you?
Yeah. Like I already know, like we're not even that deep into it, but I already know we're not going to be able to cover everything. So we automatically got to have you back. But so like even being a little dude with your dad taking you along to like these sessions and everything, like I can't even imagine the impact that all of that could have. I mean, I know you kind of shed some light on it, but yeah, a lot of people don't get to experience that. So a lot of times music is, I don't really want to say secondhand for most people, but yeah, to just be growing up in the heart of it and getting it from both sides, like you were really at an advantage.
Yeah, I want to second that, like looking back, it's like, I really am grateful for my father, taking me along with him. Like for a little bit of context and transparency, like my parents were never really like together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were high school sweethearts and whatnot. I was a product of their love at a very young age, mm-hmm. And so it was always like a custody, sharing situation when I was growing up.
Okay.
And so a lot of me tagging along, if you will, with my father was like, he had me on the weekend and he's with the crew, and it's like, is he gonna leave me at my grandma's house or is he gonna take me with him to spend time with him too? I mean, he was he was young and he was in the scene, and he was trying to spend time with me as well and juggle a few things, trying to make his situation pop, and then be a good father at the same time. And as a youngster coming up in the world, especially back then, it was it's hard. So I really feel where he was coming from, and I appreciate it too, because I've even had the opportunity to go with him like up to the community college where he went, and so I'm sitting in a classroom, poli-sci,
Oh wow.
He studied under Zelty Crawford. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was like a prominent figure in the like socioeconomic movements out here in the Bay Area. And so I was exposed as a young age to like social issues, and they're explaining the disparities between environments, situations, races, cultures, you know? And so my father was, in my eyes, he was like, you know what I mean? He was like a real strong figure in helping me to understand, you know, where my Blackness comes from. You know, I come from a mixed background, but, you know, he helped to open up my eyes to so much. And I had the opportunity to take that with me back to the other side, you know, and along school where I'm growing up, you know what I mean? And so I think that has been a definite planted seed in the efforts that I'm striving for today. You know, it's I want my kids to have that same type of, you know, understanding, viewpoint, mindset coming from an early age. That way, you know, when they're in a situation where they get treated unfairly or they see somebody else get treated unfairly, they can understand, well, you know, the system is sort of geared towards this and that, and here are some solutions that we can work through in order to help themselves and others still prosper, you know, be that plant that grows through the concrete, you know what I mean?
Well, having said that, having shared that, I would proudly say that this would, you know, actually be received as a first edition of VerseBorn Universe. Now, man, you've got so many elements of the universe that are all delicious and positive. So VerseBorn University was just created. Yeah, so you know, you take that name and fly with it. Okay, and so you expand on that. So now share with our listeners as we're looking at the clock. Let's swing to your music. Okay, what was that like? Well, first of all, tell the listeners where your music can be purchased.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know, on all major DSPs, you know, iTunes, Spotify. Just search VerseBorn, one word on pretty much any service, and my music should come up. I'm actually tied to like a collective called Conquest, which stands for Keep On, Never Quit, even if it seems tough, basically. And it's really like, you know, motivation for anybody, you know, just to buckle down, you know, harness your craft, whatever it may be, and just, you know, really put it on your back and see things through, you know, even if it seems tough now. You know, a lot of great things come from hard work. So you got to be, you know, persistent. You got to persevere. And then, you know what I mean? You'll see the fruits of your labor. And so with that collective, you know, there's several artists and producers that are also under that sort of umbrella. And, you know, we really strive to bring this type of a viewpoint, you know, to the masses. So we use the music and the media as a vehicle, if you will, to help drive these, you know, thought processes, changes, motivation, encouragement. You know, we really try to be mindful of the energy that we're putting out there, because we understand that it's going to come back to us tenfold, and it's going to resonate with people around us too. So it's like throwing a rock into the lake, you know, it's a ripple effect. So we just want to make sure that what we're throwing out there has the right message, the right amount of energy, so that when it touches somebody else, maybe it's going to have a positive impact in what they're going through, what they want to do, or where they're headed, you know? So, yeah. And basically with this collective, you know, we have a page on Bandcamp. And so, you know, you can visit that. It's a Conquest Now Conquest with a K, conquestnow.bandcamp.com, and you can sort of get some insight into some of the other artists that we're working with as well.
Well, look, man, I am planting the flag in the ground for VerseBorn University. Now you got to take that and run with it. And so,
hey, I appreciate that. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, like they run out at Southern Cal, they come out there with that spear, man. That's got to go in the ground, man. That's sword. That's sword.
Hey, that's real.
So at the football game, but a chick with beats, we're looking at the clock, man. And you just breezed through this so fast and so strong. So this is just edition 1, and we know we're gonna have you back. So we're gonna turn over to a chick with beats and let her wind us down, and because she's keeping the tabs on the time. A chick.
Yeah, but before we head out, you said maybe it would affect some people, but I'm sorry, I gotta correct you there. It's definitely going to. So, you came in, you hit us with the strong impact from start to finish, and we can't wait to keep up with what you're doing. You got something going on, just let us know. We'll make room for you. You got an open door policy right here.
I really appreciate that. There is a couple of things that are in the works right now, and it would be great to come back. Expound a little bit more on that. That we're definitely trying to give back to the community like tenfold. My bro Flamingo Fred out there in Oregon right now is he's mentoring the youth. So we're trying to string all of our efforts together and just really have a meaningful impact while we have this short amount of time on Earth. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it boils down to. The next generation is going to be, running the show, when we're not here. So we just want to make sure that there's a solid foundation and that, they have the tools, empowerment, encouragement, foresight, and knowledge, to really survive and help other people, really, make it and make something out of the lives that we're given. So,
man, just said a mouthful. I'm excited to have you back and excited to hear what you're continuously working on. Like I said, we know we just barely scratched the surface, so we already got to do this again before we even let you go. We're gonna close out the show, but behind the scenes, we got to make sure we got you set up.
I appreciate that, and thank you again for the opportunity. This really was a great conversation, and like I said, I really respect your platform. You guys have something great going on here, so definitely keep it going.
VerseBorn University, I'm telling you, VerseBorn University.
I appreciate that.
Keep it moving, keep it moving.
All right, and that does it for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We'd like to thank you for joining us and tuning in. We really appreciate you. We want to make sure that you check us out on social media. Follow us, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're both, I'm Achickwitbeatz everywhere. He's Breezy Gipson everywhere. Make sure you find us and connect. A huge thank you and shout out to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Denver, Colorado. And you know where to find us. Till next time, tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.